The 12 apostles of Jesus Christ were ordinary men from various backgrounds, fishermen, farmers, and craftsmen, who left everything behind to follow their master. As witnesses to Jesus' resurrection, they were called to proclaim the gospel across the world. Yet their testimonies did not come without tremendous cost. Persecution and martyrdom became their shared fate, enduring such trials out of deep love and devotion to Christ. None of them died natural deaths. Each one's end became a powerful witness to their unwavering loyalty to the Master and the harsh realities of human cruelty. If you think you know how each apostle died, you may be surprised. Their ends are often veiled in mystery, debate, and dramatic narratives. In this video, I'll explore all details preserved in the Bible along with accounts from early church fathers and Christian historians. So I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and watch until the very end. John the Apostle, also known as the beloved disciple, holds a unique and central role in the biblical story. He was the son of Zebedee and Salome, and the brother of James, another apostle. John shared an intimate bond with Jesus and is often referred to as the disciple whom Jesus loved. This closeness offered him a profound perspective on Jesus' life and teachings. Known for his spiritual depth and discernment, John was pivotal in preserving and sharing Christ's message. He was present during key moments such as the Transfiguration and the Last Supper, where he leaned against Jesus' chest in quiet communion. After Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, John became a cornerstone of the early Christian church in Jerusalem. He was a witness to the ascension and served as a vital figure among the apostles. Yet the later chapters of his life remain cloaked in mystique. According to tradition, he faced persecution under Emperor Domitian for preaching in Ephesus. It is said that he was arrested, tortured, and thrown into boiling oil, but emerged unharmed, protected by divine intervention. In awe of this miracle, the emperor exiled him to the island of Patmos, a Roman penal colony. It is important to note that there is no specific biblical passage confirming John's ordeal with hot oil. This account arises solely from traditions maintained by the early church fathers. These church fathers, although not apostles themselves, were devout theologians whose interpretations still influence modern Christian doctrine. Many traditions surrounding the deaths of the apostles derive from their writings. After his exile, John received prophetic visions on Patmos, later compiled in the Book of Revelation, offering profound insights into spiritual warfare and the end times. Tradition holds that John, despite several failed attempts by Roman authorities to execute him, ultimately died a natural death. According to Polycarp, bishop of Ephesus, and affirmed by Eusebius in his ecclesiastical history, John passed away in Ephesus around 100 AD at approximately 94 years of age. However, legend states that when Constantine later opened John's tomb to build a church, it was found empty, adding to the mystery of his end. In his advanced years, John became a source of deep wisdom, shaped by decades of service and reflection. He became a voice of guidance, urging believers to walk in truth and love. His words, infused with the living presence of Christ, shaped the emerging Christian identity. In his final days, he reflected upon the journey he had witnessed, from the tranquil shores of Galilee to the turmoil of the growing church in Ephesus, now facing cultural and spiritual challenges. Every letter John wrote echoed the core of Christ's message: God's boundless love through Jesus. He continually emphasized unity among believers, invoking Jesus' prayer in John 17:21, that his followers may be one. Through revelation, John provided the church with a vision of hope and victory, a reminder that no matter the tribulations, the Lamb would triumph. These apocalyptic images offered strength to Christians enduring persecution across centuries. As John neared the end of his life, his legacy became foundational, not only as a church father but as a spiritual beacon of faith, love, and endurance. His writings continue to inspire millions, calling believers to cling to the transforming and redeeming love of Jesus Christ. James, the brother of John, known as James the son of Zebedee, held an esteemed place among the apostles. He was present during the Transfiguration, witnessed the resurrection of Jairus' daughter, and joined Jesus in prayer during the agony at Gethsemane. His bond with Jesus and John placed him in the inner circle of three, Peter, James, and John, who shared in the most sacred moments of Jesus' ministry. After Jesus' ascension, James's mission soon met a tragic end. In Acts 12:1-2, it's recorded that King Herod Agrippa, seeking favor with the Jews, arrested church members and had James executed by the sword. Though the Bible does not detail the method, tradition believes James was either beheaded or pierced. It's essential to distinguish him from James the son of Alphaeus, James the Less, who had a quieter presence in Scripture. James the Less appears infrequently in the New Testament. Post-resurrection, little is said about his work, but tradition attributes to him an active role in missionary outreach. Although sparse in detail, Christian teaching holds that he too was killed under King Agrippa's rule, likely by public beheading in Jerusalem. Artistic depictions often portray this fate. However, another ancient source, the 1st century text, the Martyrdom of the Apostles, claims he was thrown from the pinnacle of the Jerusalem temple and then stoned. James's martyrdom deeply impacted the Christian community in Jerusalem. The execution of such a pivotal apostle intensified tensions between the fledgling church and Roman and Jewish authorities. His death was a turning point, emphasizing the cost of discipleship. Peter and the remaining apostles, sobered by this tragedy, were strengthened in their mission, more determined than ever to fulfill Christ's call. James's sacrifice, though painful, sparked a resurgence of missionary fervor. Persecution scattered believers, but the gospel spread, first to Samaria, then throughout the Roman Empire. The blood of martyrs, like James, became seed for growth. Meanwhile, James the Less continued his ministry in obscurity. Though less visible, his steadfast faith nurtured the Christian community during a time of hardship and uncertainty. Together, these two men, James the Greater and James the Less, represent diverse paths within the same mission. One walked a public, dramatic journey, the other served quietly and faithfully. Their lives offer a dual testimony, that discipleship may manifest in bold declarations or quiet endurance, yet both are precious in God's eyes. Their example calls us to follow Christ's path wherever it may lead with courage, conviction, and faithfulness. Peter, originally Simon, was born in Galilee and worked as a fisherman before Jesus called him to become a fisher of men. His name was changed to Peter, meaning rock, a symbol of the faith and strength he would embody. Throughout the Gospels, Peter stands out, passionate, sometimes impulsive, but always fervent. He witnessed the miraculous, including walking on water, and was the first to proclaim Jesus as the Christ. At the Last Supper, Peter's leadership was clear, yet his denial of Jesus that night marked a painful moment. But Jesus restored him after the resurrection, reaffirming his mission. Peter then took the gospel across the Roman world, finally arriving in Rome, where he became a central figure in the early church and a leader among the apostles. In 64 AD, a fire devastated Rome, and Emperor Nero blamed Christians, launching a brutal wave of persecution. Peter was arrested and sentenced to death. According to tradition, he asked to be crucified upside down, feeling unworthy to die as Jesus did. His martyrdom took place on Vatican Hill, where St. Peter's Basilica now stands, a powerful symbol of the faith he helped to establish. During Nero's reign, Christians faced unspeakable tortures, but their faith only grew. Peter's example, his humility and courage, fueled that strength. His upside-down crucifixion wasn't merely symbolic. It testified to his profound transformation from fisherman to cornerstone of the church. Peter's death was not an end, but a new beginning. His legacy, marked by denial and redemption, passion and sacrifice, echoes through the ages. He reminds us that God's grace can restore, empower, and use anyone for his divine purposes. Judas Thaddeus, also known as Lebbaeus Thaddeus or Judas son of James, is among the least mentioned apostles in the Bible. Still, his impact was significant. At the Last Supper, he asked Jesus a question that reflected a deep hunger to understand the mysteries of the kingdom. After Jesus' ascension, Judas Thaddeus played a crucial role in spreading the gospel, especially in regions such as Mesopotamia and Persia. His contribution also includes the authorship of a short but powerful New Testament letter, emphasizing perseverance in faith and the importance of love. Regarding his death, traditions vary. Some sources claim he was martyred alongside Simon the Zealot. Others state he was stoned. One tradition says he was killed by being hacked with axes, an especially violent form of execution at the time. Whatever the specific method, all accounts agree. He died a martyr, faithful to the end. Because of his association with hopeless cases, Judas Thaddeus is venerated today as the patron saint of lost and desperate causes, symbolizing unwavering hope amid despair. Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, though often overshadowed by more prominent apostles, had a distinct and meaningful relationship with Jesus. He is remembered for his role in the miracle of the loaves and fishes, where he introduced the boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. This act led to one of the most iconic miracles in the Gospels. Andrew is consistently listed among the first of the 12 apostles, highlighting his foundational role in the movement of early Christianity. Following Christ's resurrection, Andrew embarked on missionary journeys that, according to tradition, led him to places like Scotland and Greece. He is considered the founder of the church in Constantinople. Christian tradition holds that he was crucified in Patras, Greece. Before his crucifixion, he endured severe beatings. Uniquely, Andrew was nailed to a cross in the shape of an X, now known as St. Andrew's Cross. He reportedly requested this form of crucifixion out of humility, believing himself unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus. Centuries later, Andrew's remains were transported by sea to Scotland, although the ship eventually wrecked. Nonetheless, his legacy survived, and he remains one of the most honored apostles in the Eastern and Western traditions. Philip, another of the original apostles, came from Bethsaida, the same town as Peter and Andrew. He was personally invited by Jesus to follow him. Referred to often as Philip of Bethsaida, he is featured in several gospel episodes. One memorable moment occurs when Jesus challenges Philip on how to feed the multitude. Philip's response, grounded in practical limitations, revealed his human reasoning. Not even 200 denarii would be enough, a contrast to Jesus' miraculous provision. After Jesus' death, Philip continued spreading the gospel. He traveled to several regions, including Samaria, where he performed miracles and baptized many in the name of Christ. While the Bible does not detail his death, early church tradition states that Philip was martyred in Hierapolis, Asia Minor, around 80 AD. He was crucified and stoned during Emperor Domitian's persecution of Christians. Though the specifics are debated, his unwavering commitment and sacrificial end are consistently affirmed by historical sources. Simon the Zealot, often overshadowed in Scripture, carries a name that offers clues to his background. Zealot suggests he may have once been part of a radical political movement opposing Roman occupation. If true, it paints a powerful picture of transformation, from nationalist zeal to spiritual fervor in service of Christ. Though few details of his life are found in the Gospels, his inclusion among the 12 speaks to Jesus' ability to bring together diverse individuals for a single divine purpose. Most traditions agree that Simon met a brutal end. Accounts state he was tortured and then sawn in half during a wave of persecution under Roman authority. While specific documentation is limited, his death reflects the intense opposition the apostles faced and his steadfastness in the face of unimaginable suffering. Bartholomew, another apostle whose biblical presence is subtle, is introduced in the Gospel of John when Philip brings him to Jesus. Jesus greets him as a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. This recognition by Jesus hints at Bartholomew's integrity and spiritual openness. After Jesus' ascension, tradition holds that Bartholomew traveled to India to preach the gospel. His ministry yielded many conversions, drawing the ire of local rulers. One tradition says King Astyages, furious over the apostles' influence, had him imprisoned and executed. According to Orthodox Christian belief, in the year 51 AD, Bartholomew was flayed alive before being crucified upside down for refusing to deny his faith. His skin was displayed publicly as a warning to others. His martyrdom stands as a harrowing testimony of resilience and conviction. Matthew, also known as Levi, had been a tax collector, a profession despised by many Jews for the Roman Empire. Yet Jesus' call changed his life. Leaving his booth in Capernaum, he followed the Master and later penned one of the 4 canonical Gospels. This Gospel, attributed to Matthew, offered a structured account of Jesus' life, teachings, and mission, linking them clearly to Old Testament prophecy. After Jesus' ascension, Matthew traveled widely to preach. Traditions suggest he went to regions like Ethiopia and Persia, spreading the gospel. The most widely accepted account of his death states that he was martyred in the city of Nadaba, Ethiopia. While celebrating Mass, he was killed by the sword. Matthew's life and death demonstrate the power of grace to transform and the courage to remain faithful, regardless of past sins or social judgment. His gospel remains a key theological and pastoral resource, and his transformation from tax collector to evangelist illustrates that God calls people from every walk of life into his redemptive work. Matthew's legacy encourages all believers to trust in God's ability to redeem, restore, and repurpose every life for his glory. Thomas, often known as Doubting Thomas, was a fisherman and one of Jesus' 12 apostles. He gained notoriety for his skepticism, particularly after Jesus' resurrection, when he declared he would not believe unless he saw and touched Jesus' wounds. When Jesus appeared to him and invited him to do just that, Thomas responded with a confession of faith, "My Lord and my God." This moment became one of the most profound affirmations of Jesus' divinity in the New Testament. Though Thomas initially doubted, his journey did not end there. Tradition holds that he traveled to India to proclaim the gospel. In Chennai, formerly Madras, he established one of the earliest Christian communities. His work bore much fruit, but also led to his martyrdom. According to Christian tradition, Thomas was pierced with spears by local soldiers after converting many, including members of the ruling elite. His death marks the fulfillment of a journey from doubt to unshakable conviction. Finally, Judas Iscariot, the name that for centuries has echoed as a symbol of betrayal. Judas, from the town of Iscariot, was initially chosen like the others to be a disciple. Very little is known about his early life, but he was entrusted with the group's finances. At the Last Supper, it is recorded that Satan entered into Judas, prompting his decision to betray Jesus for 30 silver coins. He identified Jesus to the authorities with a kiss, a gesture of ultimate deception. The motivations behind Judas's betrayal are complex. Some speculate he was disillusioned with Jesus' refusal to establish a political kingdom. Others suggest greed, spiritual confusion, or demonic influence. After his betrayal, Judas was overcome with remorse. He returned the silver and tried to undo what he had done, but the religious leaders rejected him. Gripped by despair, Judas took his own life. The Bible presents two differing accounts of his death. In Matthew 27:3-5, he hangs himself. Chaki, Acts 1:18-19, he falls headlong and his body bursts open. Both versions agree on the tragic and violent nature of his end. The field where this occurred, known as the Field of Blood, was bought with the returned silver coins and became a burial place for strangers and criminals. Judas's story remains one of sorrow and warning. It reflects the gravity of free will, betrayal, and the consequences of unrepented guilt. Yet it also prompts reflection on mercy and redemption. What might have been, had Judas believed in forgiveness. I hope you found this exploration meaningful. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and click on one of the next videos appearing on your screen to continue with us. God bless you, and until next time.